Welcome back to CharacterSelect, and this is Bloodborne, The Old Hunters. Welcome to the final episode of this very long series that I constructed for myself. Right now, we are doing some cleanup before approaching the final boss fight. So, this is part of my quest for the Platinum Trophy, which I decided to do around the time I finished the game the first time. I resolved that I was going to do the whole thing. So, at the end of the last episode, you saw some of the highlights from my new game cycles, including the death of Queen Yarnum in the Chalice Dungeons, and now we are combing the Old Hunters DLC for some things that I missed during my first run. So the Bloodlickers, for example, in the River of Blood, were really giving me quite a hard time, and so I didn't really explore this area thoroughly because they were really annoying me. And so I just kind of pushed ahead with the exploration rather than making sure that I had left no stone unturned. So here I am working on exploring the River of Blood in the other direction. We proceeded onward toward the church. But there was a whole nother direction that we hadn't quite crossed by the time I had gotten here. So we are proceeding down the River of Blood back toward the cathedral with Lawrence in it, down to the cave here, because I knew I was missing some things because I was missing a couple of trophies, and so there had to be something in the caves down here, which is why I'm heading this direction. As you can see, the Bloodlickers were still giving me a problem. Less so, I had gotten better at the game, and was getting smarter at dodging them. Not 100%, but better. And my weapons were sufficiently upgraded that I was pretty much ripping them to shreds. The annoying thing about the Bloodlickers is that you can't stun them, you can't critical them. All you can do is try not to get whacked to death by them. So I took it really slow here to make sure that I could get through. Just trying to pull them one at a time, take it real nice and easy. But that didn't make it any less annoying, as you can clearly see. I'm wearing Simon's armor set for this area because I thought it was pretty cool, and because it also provides pretty decent physical protection, if I recall correctly. And using my trusty +10 saw spear to just rip these guys apart. You can't crit these guys, and it's really annoying. Like, I feel like you should be able to. If you sneak up on them, you should be able to knock them down, but you can't, so. Oh, safe place, and time for long weapons. And there is a nightmare critter here, who is basically designed to lead you into trouble. I think it glitched and started running back toward me instead of leading me further into the cave. Fear strong foe. Got really dark all of a sudden, didn't it? Well, there's an excellent reason for that. A hunter with a really big gun. And we know how well I do with hunters with really big guns. Just ask Cannon Face. Although, and I wish I'd recorded it, so you'll just have to take my word for it. But when I got back to that part of Yahar Gould in New Game Plus, with the 3 hunters, I wrecked them all on the first try. I had spent enough times dying to them the first time around that it was not actually all that difficult to rip them to shreds the second time. I almost had him, and I let myself get killed instead. Oops. So while we make the quick run back here, just like to say thank you all so much for coming along with me on this journey through Bloodborne and its DLC, because honest to God, this might be my favorite game of all time. If it's not my favorite game of all time, it's really, really close. I learned so many things playing Bloodborne and became a better gamer and have learned things that I have applied to other games, and it has just been absolutely incredible. by the end of this episode, you will see me earn the Platinum Trophy, of which I am really quite proud. When a friend of mine, who I consider a very, strong gamer, saw me a few months ago and said, "Wow, you got the Bloodborne Platinum Trophy? That's really impressive. I never made it past the second boss." That was a pretty good moment for me. So, I am super glad that you all watched. If you're still watching this on the 40-something episode, then I really appreciate how long you've stuck around. You've watched me go from 0 to hero in this game, and it's pretty cool. So, I am looking forward to playing more games like this. Particularly, I think I may have secured the, I got him that time. I may have secured the, place to play Sekiro on the channel, which is FromSoft's new game coming out in March 2019. So, I'm really looking forward to getting good at a whole new game, and a whole new game style coming up here real soon. So there were a couple of treasures in here that I missed after killing the hunter. One of them being that bloodstone chunk. There's some things a little bit further in here. Getting out some fire for killing things. Because there's a blood-starved beast in here, and it's nearly impossible to see. Yep, just a random blood-starved beast. Same thing as the boss. Fights exactly the same model, and a whole bunch of ads too. I might add. So yeah, this was fun. Suddenly surprised by fighting in the dark with a blood-starved beast, who, as I'm sure you'll recall, gave me a hell of a time the first time through the game. He's not so tough in replays, by the way. He's not so tough in replays. Because it turns out that once you stop being totally terrified by him, he has a very predictable attack pattern, and if you dodge to the left, you pretty much go right under his arm swipe, because he swipes big and tall with his right arm, and you can dodge right under it every time. Which is pretty sweet. So as you can see, he's a lot less scary at this point in the game. And then we pick up the Amygdalin Arm, or the Amygdalin Arm, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And a whole bunch of upgrade materials and so forth. Blood gems, just all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, hello. I forgot I had a torch equipped instead of my gun. I tried to parry him with a torch, and it didn't work at all. And so that is how we found the Amygdalin Arm, which is actually a weapon. I'm sure that all of you Bloodborne fanatics out there already are aware of this, but for anybody who isn't, and who hasn't played it yet, it's a weapon. It's an interesting weapon. It's not one I really played a whole lot with. The arm of a small amygdala great one. Strictly speaking, the Amygdalin Arm is no trick weapon of any sort, but certain madmen wield them like clubs. Starts as a large, tough, blunt weapon formed of bone, but when extended, the hand quivers as if it were still alive. So it's a bit of an interesting weapon. Big, heavy club. Like, not really my style. I prefer, especially for this character, I prefer something a lot faster. But it does have this extended, like, whip. Yeah. Kind of a cool moveset, actually. It wasn't something I ended up playing with. I played through my whole first playthrough with the Saw Spear, the second one primarily with the Blades of Mercy and the Saw Spear, and then in the third playthrough I went to I skipped right along to using Rikuyo, Lady Maria's swords, and another weapon, a certain scythe. So now, I confess, in my quest for the Platinum Trophy, I actually had to look this one up, because I had absolutely no idea where this other gun was. It was not at all... Like, I don't think I would have ever found it on my own. It took me forever to... I searched everywhere, and I couldn't find it, and I couldn't find it. It turns out you have to ride this platform down at the bottom of the research hall. And there's another weapon waiting down here. I confess, I never would have found it on my own. Thank you to the Wikia Wiki for telling me exactly where to get this so that I could finally get my Platinum Trophy. The Church Cannon. An oversized weapon used by the Healing Church, a type of cannon that fires with a curved trajectory and creates an explosion upon impact. Originally designed for use by brawny men with deteriorated brains, not just for any ordinary hunter. But the men lack the wit sufficiently to operate firearms. And I missed it. And there's the Gatling gun. So, rapid firing functionality. And then the regular cannon. So, yep. Wouldn't have found that one without the wiki. So, thanks all you internet people out there. I appreciate the help with my Platinum Trophy. And now here we are returning to the dream. Because there's one gun that I'm missing here. I'm going to buy it. And Old Hunter's Essence, which is all of the firearms in the game. So now, we move on to the end. So what is there to say about the Orphan of Kos? Well, it's a notoriously infamous fight for players of Bloodborne. It's considered to be extremely difficult, and there are many good reasons for that. Range. Hits on the ground. The fact that he moves in this really staticky, staggered kind of way makes it very difficult to predict his movements. When he does move, he moves fast. You notice that I'm using the Rider Palash here as my first attempt. It was the weapon I was using at the time. I forget exactly why. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure why I was using the Rider Palash for this. I was never all that good with it, to be perfectly honest. He is very difficult to predict, and that's got a lot to do with the difficulty of this fight. So, it's a matter of learning the moveset and making sure that you are moving the correct way at the correct time, and it is not nearly as easy as I am. It's way harder to do than it is to describe, right? As with everything else, like, you can watch someone do this fight and think you understand it perfectly, and then you get in there and it all goes out of your head, and there's just, you got nothing. It's up to you. It's up to each individual player to learn the game and the boss fights and figure out how to handle it. And I wasn't doing too bad here with the Rider Palash. I was managing to stay mobile and not get caught too many times, but he was wearing me down fast. You can see I'm running out of blood vials already, and and there it is. Taken down by the extra range on that I wasn't expecting. So, that's attempt 1. What did we learn? Well, the Rider Palash isn't the greatest option for a weapon on this. We also learned that I'm not very good with the Rider Palash. We further learned that Koss is very fast and has a surprising amount of range at times. So we're going to head back down and give it another shot and see if we can put what we learned into effect. Send the thing back up and head down. Decided to switch my garb here in memory of our friend Simon, I think. Yeah. We picked the harrowed garb in honor of our fallen, mysterious friend, Simon, who gave us his bowblade. And so we shall make another attempt and see if we can put what we've learned into practice. Not off to a good start. But as you may have also found in your time playing these games, I often find that my first attempt at a boss is actually pretty good, because I'm playing very cautiously, and I know that I have no handle on what's going on. After my first attempt, I tend to start thinking that I've got a clue, but the truth is that I've only seen about maybe 10% of the moveset, which means that things catch me by surprise. And I'm doing mostly okay here to begin with, but wasn't expecting that to come all the way around. Managing to stay behind him for the most part, but that, man, the jump back and throw, woohoo! Brutal. Brutal. The orphan and his yo-yo placenta here is really kind of gross. Oh, he's going to do the blow-up. Get out of the way. Yep. There we go. My Rider Palash is doing, like, nothing for damage, which is really frustrating. I think it's because at the time I had the gems all assigned to other weapons, and it was not nearly enough for the level of skill that I had at this point. Right, so, attempt number 3. What have we learned? Well, the first thing we learned is that we're no longer using the Rider Palash. That's step 1. I'm going to switch back to the trusty Saw Spear because it's the weapon that I know the best, and not off to a good start. But I decided to try to see if he could be parried, and the answer is yes! Unfortunately, I was so focused on parrying him that I forgot to do really anything else, and failed to dodge. So, attempt number 4. Now we know he can be parried. That's good to know. We've got the Saw Spear, which is the better weapon for me, because it's the one I'm most practiced with at this point in the game. During my New Game Plus Plus run, I would be super happy with the Rakuyo, but I had not gotten there at this point. Still getting smashed. trying to figure out the parry timings. Good stagger. Trying to figure out those parry timings. They're in there somewhere. I've seen them. I know they're possible. And getting my face smashed in, but you'll notice that the Saw Spear is doing a lot more damage. I'm trying to bait out the attack and get the parry timing. Apparently you can stagger him out of that explosion attack, which is interesting. So I'm spending this attempt fishing for parry timings, mostly. And trying to learn to dodge, and I'm trying to go for backstabs. Like, I'm trying to improve my technical game here and figure out the timings. Because that's pretty much going to be the only way I'm going to win this fight. Because otherwise, it is a matter of stamina, and I'm not going to survive that long. So I've got to improve the technical game to make sure that I am landing the hits properly in the appropriate fashion. Ah, and I landed my first parry. But, unfortunately, I missed the riposte. Because I wasn't expecting to actually land the parry. You can see me circling around when he does that jump, trying to get in time for the backstab. And I think I would have done better with it if I had not been locked on. I think if I'd been fighting without lock-on here, I could have been able to walk under that jump attack instead of having to dodge around it, and I would have been able to get back there faster. And there's the first successful parry riposte. Boom. Huge chunk of health. 3,000 points of damage. And keep in mind, this is New Game Plus. So that's part of why he's got such an enormous health pool. Oh! Somehow did not get caught by that? That was interesting. And I actually got into Phase 2 for the first time. He's still parryable, I discovered. Still parryable, which is really good to know. Oh, that probably should have been the end of me. Somehow it wasn't. Not really sure how. And all of a sudden he starts, like, jumping around and flying and shit. Like, oh my god. I honestly don't even know how I'm still alive at this point. So much crazy shit. Like, I thought his first phase moveset was tough, and he's just, like, throwing shit around, making with the explosions. Can't even get close to him. And then there's lightning. And then there's lightning. And somehow I managed to get back in close here. And a parry. Gotta love that. Gotta love them crits. Come back around to the back. Oh, almost died. Almost died there. Oh, that was so close. I'm down to 4 blood vials. And he's doing his crazy jumping around shit again. If he just holds still for 10 seconds, I could murder his face. I managed to get under him that time when he came down. Mostly through shit luck, I think. And now he's back on the ground, and... Oh. Get him. And all it took was 4 tries. I'm actually pretty proud of that. A little less proud after the whole Lawrence thing, but, you know, still pretty proud. And you gain the Cost Parasite, which is actually a weapon. And it, as it turns out, it's a piece of the DLC that I actually missed. So you can see here the description. When the carcass of Koss washed up on the coast, its insides were teeming with tiny parasites unlike any found in humans. This atypical weapon can only be clasped tight and swung, but a Koss parasite is said to stimulate phantasms inhabiting a lumen wood. And I did not understand at all what that meant at the time. So I equipped it and played around with the moveset a little bit, and it's just an open hand. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. It turns out that in the research hall, the lady with the brain fluid is the key to this weapon, and I didn't figure that out until after I'd finished the game. And so, we come to the end of the Old Hunters. Now, there are 2 fights left, and by the end of this, you'll see me gain the Platinum Trophy. So, first we're going to move on to the second ending of Bloodborne.
sweet child of Kos returns to the ocean. A bottomless curse, a bottomless sea, accepting of all that there is and can be.
Honoring wishes. Now, I have to apologize. Apparently the sound did not record for this session, which is immensely frustrating. So I'm going to talk you through this first part here, and then I will leave the final ending without commentary, presented as is. So we come to the end of the game through the New Game Plus cycle. I'm using the Rakuyo at this point. We get the same dialogue from Gehrman about dying, forgetting the dream, and awaking under the morning sun like we did the first time. And on the first round, as you may recall, I submitted to Gehrman and got the Yharnam Sunrise ending. Well, this time, I decided to refuse. And I find myself incredibly frustrated that this apparently did not record its sound, because, yeah, that's immensely frustrating. By refusing Gehrman, we get another boss fight, which is always fun. I do love my boss fights. And I'd just like to point out that at the very beginning of this section, and you can go back and look, there was no fog gate as I walked through. And so with the Dream on Fire, we face Gehrman as he joins the hunt. This is a hell of a cool fight, because it's basically fighting a hunter on steroids. And as you can see, I'm pretty tough at this point, and I have mostly figured out the gameplay mechanics, and I know which types of enemies can be parried. Gehrman is an awesome fight, but to be perfectly honest, he's a bit simple once you figured out parry timings. Like, he's got huge predictable windups on his stuff. He's faster with the Burial Blade in its smaller phase, but when he puts it out into scythe form, man, the windups are so huge that he is actually really easy to parry, I found. That's not to say I'm not getting my ass kicked here, because I totally am. But you can see me working through the fight and trying to figure out where the points are where I can grab him for a parry. Because parry fishing is the by far the easy way to win this fight. He does a power-up. And I think I mentioned that I'm using the Rakuyo at this point, because I had discovered that Lady Maria's twin blades are a fantastic dex weapon for a character like the one I built. He very nearly executed me there with the pole. And he's working on a power-up again while I get all my health back. But it's long. It's long. And now we've moved into phase 2, where when he's invisible, when he dodges, he's on fire. Like, honestly, it's a good thing I spent so much time leveling up, because some of these probably would have one-shotted me at certain points in the game. Whoa. Yeah, I barely remember that attack at all. Got the parry. One of the things that I do love about Bloodborne is the ranged parry functionality. I really like that you can drop the critical hit with the gun. And right now I'm basically just going for broke, trying to drain his health pool before he drains mine. Just desperately trying to get those last couple hits, and there they are. I spent exactly one attempt on Gehrman, which I admit was pretty exciting. And the moon presence descends. This great old one, true master of the hunter's dream. God, I wish this had audio. And so in the second ending, we are taken by the moon presence. And honoring Gehrman's wishes, we become Gehrman. We take the wheelchair. A doll stands at our side. And we await the next hunter, so that the hunt may begin again. And now, the final ending, to which I present uncommented.
This night and this dream will end. Gehrman awaits you at the foot of the great tree.
Good Hatna, you will view from this terrible... Dear, oh dear. What was it? The hunt? The blood? Or the horrible dream? Oh, it doesn't matter. It always comes down to the hunters help her to clean up after these sorts of messes. Tonight, Gehrman joins the hunt.
are you called? Oh, good hunter.
The end of a story must be stronger rather than weaker than the beginning, since it is the end which contains the denouement or culmination, and which will leave the strongest impression upon the reader. H.P. Lovecraft.